Due to my advanced age, I don't remember exactly what Matthew Capusi said yesterday morning that happened in 1953 that he kind of uses as a guideline for being old or being young, but I fall on the early side of it. So I'm from the period of time, and hopefully it still is ongoing, when we worked with a lot of rules. So it's really interesting for me to be up here this afternoon or morning, depending on what your watch is set at, to talk about this particular issue. And particularly important in light of a comment that Bruce made earlier about the success of the weather radios, and the fact that while there are a lot of people that are now manufacturing those radios, we're seeing an increase in the penetration of the weather radios into people's homes and businesses because of the fact that they're all using technology that's based on some accepted standards. So one of the things that we're trying to deal with as we work now with the Weather Service in using the severe weather warning polygons through different mechanisms of notification is to see if we can't get some kind of standards in place so that people will know that when they're going to be expecting to receive some kind of notification, that they will indeed get that. So somewhat quickly, but I'm not going to go too fast, and I won't apologize for that. I did have 3 cups of coffee this morning, so I can kind of slip into my New York mode if I need to. But for right now, at least I'm in the Midwest mode, unless Jennifer just reaches over and grabs my coattail and says stop. So anyway, basically, our focus this day while we're here in Nashville is trying to reach out to the broadcast meteorologist. The reason being, you're the person, as we've been told over and over again, you're the person that most people in the community are looking for information. So we're hoping that you're also the person that's involved in discussions about what the communication technology is going to be in your local community. Okay, we have a lot of companies that are now providing severe weather notification service. We have technology, we have information, sometimes almost overload, but what we do not have is some regulation to make sure that the information goes out successfully. And what I mean successfully is that it gets to the person that needs to get it in a timely manner so they can go ahead and start doing something with it. Okay? All this new technology at the community level, especially when they're trying to use existing technologies but match them up with the new polygon warning technology, is the fact that they're trying to upgrade systems that they currently have, as well as introduce new systems. Okay? For those of you that live in areas with outdoor warning sirens, quick show of hands. Okay? Those outdoor warning sirens were designed years and years ago, and they're set to go off by flipping a switch and every siren in the county goes off. Okay? What we're trying to do now, and the communities are working on this, is trying to make it so the sirens go off only if your particular area is in a warning. But that costs a lot of money that most people do not have at the county level. Having been a former emergency management director at the county level, I can tell you that the budgets are not there to support that kind of technology. A lot of places, whatever technology they're using, whether it's their own or something from a provider, they're still working off the county-based warnings. One of the problems that we have discovered over the months and years since the polygon warnings came out is that a lot of the emergency managers do not understand enough about the technology of emergency notification to even begin to ask the correct questions when they're trying to select a service provider to do emergency notification in some method other than the community warning sirens. So what we're trying to do is work with the broadcast meteorologist, and quick show of hands, how many of you actually are broadcast meteorologists? Good, okay. What we're trying to do is work with you to help get the information out to the people in your community, especially emergency managers, so that they know the questions to be asking when they're looking to select a provider for this type of service. Okay? You know, what the capabilities of the provider are, what you should expect, what the limitations are, etc. Okay? And one of the biggest questions is, if you're working with a provider that does notifications for multiple types of things, where do the severe weather notification jobs fall in the queue of their jobs? A lot of the jobs that they're being done in the community, and this is based on the use of emergency notification services for years, and these types of services have been in place for more than 20 years. Okay, this is not new technology. It's just the fact that using it for severe weather notification is relatively new. Okay, they've been using it for the gas leaks, the reminders to vote, the political campaigns. I don't know about you, but I live in Iowa. And, you know, the phone calls that we get from the automated systems for information on the politicians and stuff like that is just enough to the point that a year and a half before the election, we're ready to throw the phone out the window because we're already getting overwhelmed. Because remember, Iowa is and will remain the first caucus state. Okay? So, again, the concern is that the information may not be timely to what's going on. Another big concern, as you see from the bottom bullet point there, is the timeliness of the warnings is a real big concern. Okay? I won't ask any of you to tell me how many companies you think there are out there that are delivering severe weather notifications. I'll show you. These are some of them. These are some of them. And the number keeps growing almost day by day. It's just unbelievable how many people are expanding the use of their service for non-weather notification to start doing severe weather notification. So the question we ask emergency managers all the time, and even perhaps yourself, is, are you confused enough about what's going on yourself? And if you are, how about the general public in your area? What do they even understand about what's going on? They're the ones receiving the phone calls, but do they know why they're getting called? And if they don't know why they're getting called, or even if they do, when they do get a notification, who are they going to turn to? Okay? You, the broadcast meteorologist in your area. So that's why what we're trying to do is work with you to make sure that you understand what the problem is and how you can perhaps help to make sure that we don't have the continuing problem. Okay? People are now expecting to get information delivered right to them. You know, short of knocking on their door to let them know they're in a severe weather warning area, they want to be notified almost individually. People are getting more and more confused about what the weather information is. All right? All these things that we're trying to deal with, and I'm not going to go through all of these bullets, but the one I really want to point out is the one that's at the bottom. Unlike the weather radios, the use of emergency notification services to deliver severe weather warnings, there are no standards in place. Absolutely no standards in place for companies that are delivering the service. We need to get some in place, and we need your help. WeatherCall has been talking directly with FEMA, also with the National Weather Service. We've actually gone to Washington, D.C. to have meetings with them, you know, bringing this need to their attention, getting them to have some interaction with us, and hopefully other companies too, to make sure that everybody's doing the things that they were supposed to be doing. But the National Weather Service, like a lot of other organizations, cannot regulate how this is being done. Okay? Their purpose is to deliver warnings, not to regulate the companies that are delivering the notifications that the Weather Service produces. We've been looking to professional organizations to try and get involved in this. And that's one of the reasons we're here at this meeting, because you all are part of this organization. How many of you have a direct relationship with your emergency manager, that you actually know who they are and you visit with them? Okay, that's fewer hands than I saw go up that said you're a broadcast meteorologist. Okay? I don't expect you to have a relationship where you're going to the emergency manager's son's birthday party. Okay? But we do hope that you have a relationship with them where you know who they are and you know what their programs are, so that you have an understanding of how they're using the information coming from the Weather Service. Okay? Are they going off the county-based warnings, or are they going off the storm-based warnings? What kind of information and technology is being used in the service that they're considering implementing? Voice, text, the email. How many calls can a provider make simultaneously into a community? And also, in a community, how many of those calls can actually get through based on the restrictions of the local exchange system? Okay? In most communities, you know, we talk about this many, many times, that during high peak usage, a lot of calls don't get through all right. Most communities are only set up to deliver about 10% of the calls based on their population. Okay? If there's more calls than that trying to get through the local switches, they're bouncing back. So it's not getting effective delivery. All right? Another concern is, if they're using a system that's not going to ring the phones, will it actually wake them up? I got warnings on my phone last night for a thunderstorm here in the Nashville area that was producing lightning. I didn't see those warnings until this morning when I woke up, because they were text messages. Okay? I slept straight through last night because the previous night I didn't get here to the hotel till 2 o'clock in the morning, so I was a little bit dogged last night. I went to sleep and didn't hear them. If it had been a tornado warning, I would have gotten it. Okay? Text messages for lightning, I don't get, especially when I'm sound asleep. Now, other nights, like a couple of nights ago in Des Moines, I mean, I was up almost all night long with the phone literally on the bed next to me because I kept getting notifications for text messages for the lightning. All depends on how tired you are. Okay? We talked a little bit about the latency and the delivery of the warnings. Somebody mentioned earlier, you know, a system where the alerts went out 2 hours after the warning. Okay? That's useless. Some companies are restricting the number of times they will actually notify a person based on the service that's being provided. We've got to address that. That can't be. If there's a warning that's issued, the people need to know about it. Whether it's the second warning of the month for them or whether it's the 27th warning of the month for them. They need to be able to push these through. We also need to make sure that companies aren't adding their own content to the warnings, because what we're trying to do is focus on the information from the National Weather Service, whether it's the 289-word short story or whether it's a 17-word warning. Okay? Get the information from the National Weather Service into the hands of the people so they can take action. And then again, one of the key things we're trying to do is work on the overwarning situation so that people will only get notified for stuff that really is a concern for them. This is an example of a warning that came out from one of the companies that's currently providing this type of service. If you look at the two highlighted areas there, you can see what time the warning was issued, 7:27 p.m. Central Daylight Time. The time that the phone call actually went through was 7:53 p.m. Okay? I won't do the math, you all can. All right? That's too long a time. We have other situations going on where different companies with their different applications are providing information, and they're getting good information out there, but if the people don't completely understand it, or again, if it's not in a timely manner based on the amount of time it takes to refresh a program's application delivery, it could be a real problem. This particular one is interesting because if you look at the map, you see the purple rectangle there in the picture on the left. Okay, that was the area that this particular company identified as needing notifications sent to anybody within that area that was using their service. Keep in mind that purple polygon. On this particular map, there's the purple polygon again. If you look at the actual storm-based warning, it involved parts of 4 different counties. So people were getting notifications not based on the storm, not based on the fact that they were in one of the counties that was involved in the warning, but in this particular case, the white bordered county at the very bottom there wasn't even in a county that was involved in the warning, yet the person at that red dot actually got a notification for that warning based on the way that that particular company set up their algorithm to do the notification based on the rectangular area. So, big concern. We've seen the same thing happen with other companies. Okay? They're taking that tiny polygon warning for a tornado there on the right, and they're notifying all those parishes in Louisiana. Okay? Because some part of those parishes was involved in it. And sometimes it gets even worse. Okay? The way their distinctions are as far as the county to be notified, it just continues to expand out, creating more overwarning. Okay? These are some of the standards we have actually put forward to the National Weather Service and to FEMA in our meetings with them. And one of my meetings actually involved the Deputy Director of the IPAWS program. So we're trying to make sure that we're staying in sync with the federal government's program to deliver warnings through the CMAS system. Oops, sorry, we're not supposed to call it anymore. WEA. Okay. Well, there again, showing my age. All right. We need to make sure that companies identify how much capacity they have to make the calls. We need to make sure that they have the infrastructure, not only in hardware, but also in personnel to be able to support the notifications. We need to make sure that only the information from the Weather Service is going out. Need to get away from the restriction of notifications. Most importantly, down there at the bottom, again, we need to notify the local emergency managers of what questions they should be asking. So that's why we're asking your help. Okay? You need to make sure that everybody has enough information to make an informed decision when they're spending money. Okay? Whether it's an emergency manager's limited budget, whether it's a county referendum that puts a fee onto the 911 system to try to get enough money to put another service in place. It's all good that we're trying to do these additional steps, but if we're not doing them correctly, we're wasting some money. So we need to be working together to make sure that companies that are doing this are doing it correctly so that the general public will get the information they expect. Okay? WeatherCall is considered by the National Weather Service to be one of their trusted partners. We work very closely with them, providing information to them. They provide information to us. We're waiting for the new guidelines to come out on the impact-based warnings so that we can change our notification process to stay in sync with those. We have got backup on top of backup for different things, and as was demonstrated in the April 27, 2011 severe weather outbreak in northern Alabama, we have the ability to keep delivering the notifications through various methods to people when different parts of the infrastructure are going down. We tell our subscribers and our users, if everything totally has failed, there are no more cell phone towers, the landline system is down, every usable method of communication is gone, short of doing smoke signals, we cannot come out and knock on your door to tell you there's a warning coming. Hopefully by that time they already know something's happening, so they've already taken protective measures. But we will make every effort, and we trust that all the other companies are doing the same thing, to make sure that the service that the general public is expecting will continue to be available. Because we don't want to keep learning about new companies that are coming on board, trying to do the service, and they're kind of throwing things together, and we just don't know what they're doing. We just learned last week, actually, that there's a company, and I'm sure they operate, throughout multiple parts of the nation. We learned about this through a meeting with the Weather Service people at one of the offices in Kansas, that basically they told us that one of the companies that's providing notification in their area actually will take down their system for maintenance without giving any kind of notification to users or the counties or anything else like that they're doing it, and they're not even looking to see what the weather is at the time they take it down for maintenance. They just take it offline, do whatever they need to do. Okay? At WeatherCall, we're watching the weather, we're watching our traffic load on notifications, etc. If we see a situation coming up where there's the potential for our system to be used, we will not be doing anything else that would interrupt it. And even sometimes when we identify things that need to be done, we'll have to wait an extended period of time sometimes to be able to input that upgrade to make sure that the people aren't impacted and don't miss a warning. Okay, this thing seems to be going up in time now instead of down.
Well over time.
Okay, so okay. Well, no, actually, I'm still within my 15 minutes. So.
No, that was a 15-minute countdown. So.
Well, anyway, I've actually gotten to the last slide. So, if anybody wants to hang around and ask questions, I'm certainly willing to answer them. I appreciate you all staying here after the 12-hour noontime appointed time. Again, we all have to work together on this, so let's get it going. Thank you.